Could do that too if you
You're
like.
saying when they present, we can go sit.
Yeah.
So we're not getting blinded by the.
But we'll do the regular one first, right? Like in the order. The student advisors, you go first, right?
Yes, yes.
Oh yeah, you text her? Yeah.
The two young ones figured it out.
That tracks with like being new and being nervous and like checking in making sure. You know?
Even me, I almost texted you guys to go, are we really doing it over there?
I went to the high school instead, so.
This one looks like kind of a big one too, so I'm gonna go home before pickup.
I have to figure that out, and I have. What she was going to pick up is 20.
Oh, you do?
Principal's out, so I have to go.
Two principal? Or you start-
Last 2 days I have been. Yes.
Ooh, that was loud. And welcome to the Thursday, February 5th, 2026 school committee meeting. At this time, I'd like to open the meeting with a roll call of the school committee. Michelle Kirkby here.
Will Horn here.
Sophia Viglas here.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to open public input. Members of the public are welcome to comment during the public input either here or through Zoom. If you're on Zoom, please raise your Zoom hand. We ask that you keep your camera on when making a Zoom comment and that you follow school committee policy for public input, including speaking for no more than 3 minutes and only on topics under the purview of the school committee. And whether you're here in person or on Zoom, please state your name and address for the record. Yes, please.
Can you put the microphone down, Chris? Sorry. Thanks.
I wanted to follow up on the school meeting and public hearing to correct some factual information. This is really important. Two things. So one of the questions I asked in the hearing had to do with the money that would be paid out in school choice for tuition. And so while it does in fact go
which are the ones that opted in for their hearings during the budget season. That's not true. We're looking at a large number of our districts in the state. I can give you a long list of districts. The ones that we tend to compare ourselves to that opt out, they actually hold their hearings within their budget season. Lincoln Southern, Sharon, Wayland, Westwood, Hopkinton, Dover Sugar. These are all districts that have opted out of school choice, but they have held their hearings during their budgeting season, most of them between January and April. And in fact, the most important point of this is they hold their hearings before their town meeting. That's the most important thing because that means that people have the option to vote. We have a voice at town meeting. If you look at our last 11 years, there has only been two times when we've held our public hearing before town meeting. One was during COVID, because town meeting was late, and there was one in April. I couldn't hear it. I didn't bring that note with me, but there was one in April 7 years ago. And in fact, early on, twice, we held our public hearing after June 1st when it was required by law to hold it. There was actually a newspaper article about this. So I would just say that going forward, that these school choice public hearings should be held during our budgeting process and not after the fact when people have no ability to weigh in on it. And the school committee has a chance to really be better informed.
Thank you. Anybody else? Is there anyone online? Okay. All right, next up we have the consent agenda. We have the approval of the January 29th, 2026 public hearing regular meeting minutes. There's no donations this evening. Does anybody have any questions or comments on the minutes?
No.
Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda as stated?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes. All right. Next up, we have the high school student advisory. Welcome back to our students. I'll hand this over to Will and Sophia.
Sure.
I forgot what you said in your email.
Do we have everyone here? Did nothing not come? Okay, great. So we had asked our students just to give us some updates about how things are going this year, and also if they're able to think about and focus on any particular updates related to some of the things that we've talked with them about before. In terms of how we talked about the 9th grade transition a little bit at the beginning of the year, if there's any updates on how it's going now that we're actually halfway, or 100 days in, right? The 100th day was
today.
Tomorrow? Is today? Okay, it's today. So now that we're 100 days in, and then another thing that we asked about specifically, if they were able to gather any information about, was anything regarding after school help and help during flex period in terms of how that's going and being able to access more support from teachers. I don't know who wants to start.
You guys can come up here.
You can rock, paper, scissors. Athena. So we'll start with the 12th grade.
Hello.
So in regards to the after-school help, I think now that midterms are over, flex is looking much clearer. I think it's a little difficult when multiple teachers teach different classes. I think that was something that someone brought up to me. I had a student tell me that one of their teachers teaches a stat class, but also the regular pre-calc class. It's hard to like fight through the stat kids to get pre-calc help. And I think I've heard about this before with freshmen in world history, trying to like fight through the English kid, because it's hard when teachers teach multiple classes, and obviously like at those like points in the year, especially during that time when there's like tests in all those classes, all the kids want to go. The English kids send for their test. Regular world history one kids need to send for that test, so that was a little hard. to teachers and nurses. So that's going to be the next couple months before term break happens, because the starts. We're all excited. I know the last project, I signed the version of like children's books, so I can videos for children's books.
Awesome.
Some other kids are building birdhouses. We have a group that's refurbishing the girl on girl, like updating heroes and picking it up. Since it's big tradition right now. So I know a lot of people are excited for the projects that we're doing. Also upcoming is Scenic Villages, which I think starts in the next 2 weeks. And there's a list of requirements that you have to have. You have to have your grades, have to be a K club, a C plus, all your classes, and you have to have tutorials and the more than six students. And for that, every day, excited for that. Also upcoming for school for teen languages is the Apple test. You guys are familiar with that. The Apple test is first English and next to letters. And shows teachers and she's levels. So I know Spanish is taking theirs tomorrow, and I think French is taking theirs. So that's
Do you want to share where you were at the State House?
For soccer, because we won the state championship representative tour, so excited. Started around ground checking. They gave us a citation. So they were they formally in session so we got it's pretty cool.
Awesome.
All good.
You mentioned that it's harder when teachers teach multiple classes. When you do flex, is it divided by, like, if I teach pre-calc and I teach algebra 1, is one of my flexes algebra 1 and one pre-calc, or they're always mixed together? Okay, just to that teacher specifically. That works better, it sounds like, yeah.
And how much of an impact do you think that has had the lack of after-school access is having, on your classmates, as far as getting access to extra help? And the opportunity before school, has that been offered?
Everything before school. After school, teachers aren't required to stay after school, but they can. But before
Right.
school, we don't offer that.
But they do come before school starts by so many minutes, correct?
They do.
Yes.
But the intent of the extended, the change of start time wasn't to get kids into school early again.
No, I understand that, yeah.
That was what we're.
Gotcha. Of course. Of course. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next?
Elliot?
Oh, I didn't see him.
Move a little closer to the mic, Elliot.
So the question about electives, and so are you right, currently there's a lack of information about electives for next year and for course selection?
Yes, especially for, I've only received like information in class with the slides, so, just like English electives, and I haven't really seen much of.
And do you know when course selection starts? March 6th.
How does the process?
Well, hold on, actually, 'cause I didn't know when course selection starts either, because I haven't seen it on any communication either, so that's why I was curious if the students got communication about that. Gotcha, March 6th, though.
What is the process like? Like, what was it like last year, Elliot? How do your teachers do slides? Do they talk to you one-on-one in the hallway? How does the course selection process work out at Medfield High School?
We do a little bit of both. So for all of our core classes, we usually have a paper that lists all of the possible electives that you can take next year and your future plans for that. And after the teacher receives that paper, they will schedule a one-on-one meeting with you, and then through that, they will talk with you and decide what classes you really want to take and what level they think you're at, and then finalize those course selections.
Okay, thank you.
So maybe we can get some volume, so we could hear the speaker somehow.
Unfortunately, this is the time going back there.
Yeah.
We turn those up with feedback, is when I draw everything out. Speakers are facing this way. So unfortunately,
Great.
I don't know where to get sound back on the back end.
Okay, we're leaning in here.
Yeah.
Wait, what were we talking about the bathrooms being locked, Elliot?
Yeah.
What was going on with that?
Well, the bathrooms have been locked, but there has been vandalism or sorts of acts that trashing of the bathrooms, taking down their stall doors and things like that. So that's especially with the bathrooms, but we have locked a lot of them, and there are a few available to us, but they should have been built in January, especially after all of this, all the issues going on. We have ways to bring this up that every school has. I think the situation overall.
Yeah, so we just restricted certain bathrooms that kids could use. So there were certain bathrooms that kids could use and others that they could not use. So it was easier to monitor certain bathrooms versus
Okay.
others.
Yeah. And then the flex, I guess my only other question is, the people going into flex to get extra help, and then are people flexing in to hang out with their friends in the same class?
Sometimes depends on the flex. But
So they'll both say, I'll flex into AP, you flex into AP, I'll meet you there, and, yeah, okay. And so that's getting in the way of getting the extra help? That's, while someone's making up the test, but the teacher's approving that flex in though, correct?
yes.
Yeah. Gotcha.
I
Great.
also have heard of the testing room that the high school has that people can flex into and actually take tests because they have a supervisor there, and I think that would be great if we could advertise that more. Have
Gotcha.
that as a more available option.
And so would the student flex into the testing room, or would the teacher be made aware of that to make the test available in that testing room?
Both, because I think the teachers can flex students into there, but also we can leave. I haven't really used it, so I'm not too sure.
Gotcha.
I haven't used it, but I think that if teachers, they have too many people in their flex, if they're getting extra help from the teachers, sending them to the testing room.
Gotcha. But they would know that ahead of time, right? They say, oh, you're going to make up this test, use the flex into the testing room, it'll be waiting
Yes.
for you.
Yeah.
Gotcha. No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Elliot.
Thank you.
Thanks, Elliot.
Lily?
Hi, my name is Lily Pride, and I'm a freshman, or the sophomore representative. The first thing I want to speak about is some good news about the sophomore class. Recently, we have finalized our car fundraiser. This will be taking place on Tuesday, February 24th, and some of the proceeds of the lunch and dinner, dine-in and takeout will go to the classes community. The second thing I wanted to speak about was the new platform of communication that parents and students are using. We have Parents Square, so far the app has made a positive impact and also has been a good way for teachers to communicate with students. I also wanted to provide an update on how classes have been going. In the previous meeting, I mentioned that classes have felt very full and it's hard to get one-on-one attention with teachers. This problem is mainly on weeks where like certain testing is taking place. So if it's like an off week when there is no tests, the classes are generally like not as full as usual and you can get that one-on-one attention. So making sure you flex in like a couple days before a test is probably more beneficial. And lastly, I wanted to talk about workload before break. Teachers definitely have been a lot of tests before break, like in the next week, they'll work through the tests, and it definitely adds a lot of stress. So maybe if teachers could just like keep an eye out for on the testing schedule before break to maybe like separate these tests throughout the week.
Lily, can I ask you about, because I think we're gonna ask Ellie about the 8th to 9th transition. Can you talk about maybe how that was, and even like 9th to 10th, how you settled in? Because I feel like I don't know that we've ever talked about that. Anything you have to say about the 9th to 10th transition, and even 8th to 9th, if you can remember?
Time wisely, going into flex, communicating with your teachers. It's definitely a smooth transition. For me, I would always use extra help, especially last year. It would just be very useful to have because I needed that one-on-one attention. But for students that only have time with managing their assignments and keeping track, it's definitely a lot more work than they probably would struggle with.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Ellery, you're up.
Hi, I'm Ellery Deshays, and I'm here to share an update from the student government. My team and I have been meeting a lot recently, along with Ms. Hagan, to plan an upcoming fundraiser. We're excited to announce that we're working on a Kids Night Out event at the high school. We're hoping to hold it on March 13th from 6 to 9 p.m. for students grade 2 through 5. Our goal is to create a fun, safe night for younger students while also raising money to support school activities. During Kids Night Out, there will be lots of options for entertainment. In the gym, there will be basketball, limo, and other recreational games. In the cafeteria, we'll be serving pizza, chips, and water. We're also planning on reserving a couple classrooms, one for arts and crafts and another for just dance. We're also working on adding more activities too, especially ones for students who don't want to sit and do arts and crafts the whole time. We're planning to divide grades so that half the students are in the gym, while the other half are in classrooms, and then we can switch so everyone gets a chance to go where they want. As a freshman, things have been getting easier as the year is going on. We're all adjusting to high school and the new way of teaching. I've heard from a bunch of my peers recently that students are starting to feel more comfortable and confident in their classes. So yeah, we're just getting more used to it now and it feels more normal.
Excellent. Are you or your colleagues finding any struggles with the aforementioned flexing in and tests?
Yeah, I would say that's been a struggle a lot recently because I know for when I talked about my world history, that she teaches like 4 classes and it just gets like full immediately even if we have the test.
You may not be able to answer. I'm curious all teachers teach 5 classes, right, Dr. Myerson? So I'm just curious how is it the number of classes, sections of that class that may have an impact?
It sounds
Well,
like
if you're a teacher and if you only have 2 preps, right, you're only testing in one, all the kids are there with the same questions. And these guys are saying like if a teacher's given like 3 different tests that week,
Gotcha.
it's hard to get like
help
Or
with that specific.
I see if there's right. Okay.
Because if there's all those kids for one, the teacher and the kids,
They're
I
teaching
imagine,
4
can help
sections
each
of
other.
one course. They all have a test at the same
Correct,
time.
and
Gotcha.
that's easier.
Gotcha. Right. Well, that sounds harder because there's 4 classes of kids coming at the same period
But
of time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, well, I don't know,
Yeah.
speaking from my experience, but
Yeah.
the kids help each other too, right? Like, because when they're all there on the same subject, I imagine you all can look and your friend might have the answer versus if it's 3 different classes, it's a different thing. Does that make sense? Okay.
And we also have the peer tutors that can come in and help
Oh.
us, so it's like not just one-on-one all the time. We can have more help.
Gotcha.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, moving on next to the DECA presentation, Dr. Marston.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we're excited to have our DECA students and Mrs. Schaefer here. This has been an incredible program, a great addition to our high school, and our kids are continually doing really, really well with it. And we're happy to see the presentation and some other information from our students tonight.
For maybe 2 minutes. Let's see if I can get this to mirror. Absolutely. Thought maybe I could check to see. There we go. Nice. Digits.
It's ready for it. Fantastic. Thank you so much. All right, my name is Karen Schaefer, and I get the pleasure of teaching our high school students the business skills that will hopefully be very portable for them wherever they go in their career path. My goal is just to give you a little bit of feeling about the structure that the students go through and then get out of the way and let the students do the real sharing. So I've shared some pictures. Some of these students are here. You may recognize one in the front row. The first thing students do is they pick an area that they're interested in. It could be human resources, finance, marketing, operations, franchises, global, sports management. There are 50 different events for them to pick from. Then they decide if they want to work with a teammate or if they want to go solo. Their option is either to do a mini case study, which we call a role play, and they don't know what that scenario is going to be until they show up in front of the judge. If they do a role play, which is really popular in our high school, they also have to sit for an international exam, and we consider that to be an equalizer. Everybody can get different judges, but we all share the same exam. Now, some students, and we have some tonight who will speak about it, do a prepared event. So they willingly write a 20-page report or a 20-page slide deck and do research on their own too. Then, of course, once the students have picked their events, they start to prepare and train. I think the reason why our school has done so well with this and it's continued to grow is because we have student leaders that have mentored and trained the new students so well. It starts with districts, and everybody goes and competes at districts. We have 13 other high schools and about 1,200 students who compete, again, in 50 different events or so. The top 4 in each event go to states, which we call SCDC, State Conference, State Career Development Conference. And then the top 8 from that event, which has about 4,500 students in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts competing, the top 8 will go to international. We call it international because there's about 9 other countries that send competitors, but it's always held in the United States. So we kind of triangulate between Atlanta and Orlando and Anaheim. So here's some more pictures. DECA's been around since after World War II. We've got 300,000 students globally, 13,000 in the Commonwealth. We run our chapter through the e-board. So an executive board run by students. I just kind of manage back of the house. You can see I've got a pie chart up there, and it explains who has made it to states this year. So you can see that the practice really pays off. Seniors and juniors are typically more represented.
We have sophomores who are attending, and we have a couple of incredible freshmen who made it this year too. Now in the middle, you're going to see Sam George. Sam, give us a wave. Sam served on our e-board last year, and this year he serves on the Mass DECA e-board, which we call State Action Team. So we're really proud to have our first student there. I've got a couple of links in case you ever want to check out DECA. Here's a picture of some of our e-board this year, training and mentoring. And you can see that we started at 14 students, grew to 33, 49, 85, 112, 221 last year, and over 250 this year. So we've had a lot of fun with it. Again, you will see some familiar faces here. We've done some fundraising. Buses are the bane of our fundraising. As you can see, almost $9,000 in bus expenses just so far for this year. Dunk Tank at Medfield Day is fantastic. We'll sell shirts, ask for grants, or write grants, I should say, and bake sales. I think that's about it. I did want to let you know that our States is going to be held at March 12th through 14th in Seaport. If any of the school committee would like to go and see what it's like, I'm happy to walk it with you, even if it's half an hour, 45 minutes. Should you want to come and judge, you'll see what DECA's like from the other side of the table. And you can see that I pulled in some photos from a couple years ago. Brady Mack has long hair in this picture. Now he's got the fantastic season kind of buzz cut. But the students do so well with their manners and their networking. That's a picture from ICDC last year. I was not able to attend because we were taking our kids who are seniors on trips, but wonderful Mrs. Lynch and Mrs. Olson from the high school took this fantastic group of 10 kids to Orlando. Okay, come on up, you guys.
Hi, I'm Sam George. I'm a senior at the high school, and I've been in DECA for the past 4 years. And like standing here, I can confidently say that like being in this organization has entirely changed my life. When I first joined as a freshman, I was in a partner event back then for role plays. I was with my friend Jack, and like we somehow made it to the state conference. It was a big surprise, and like being there, I found at States, I was surrounded by, just like with the Medfield group, so many like awesome supportive individuals. I got to meet like a lot of upperclassmen who kind of mentored me through it, and like I found so much community in DECA in my first year. Like it really gave me a sense of belonging, and that empowered me to kind of get involved throughout my years. So sophomore year, I was really motivated to make it to internationals. I really wanted to do well competitively, so I competed in quick serve restaurant management, which is an individual role play event. And I had the privilege of going to internationals in Anaheim, which was just an awesome experience. It was so great being with the Medfield people and going to California for the first time. And then junior and senior year, I've gotten involved in some leadership positions. I've helped. I was on the Medfield e-board junior year, and it was a great experience. We helped grow the club a lot. Like Schaefer showed the insane numbers. It's the biggest school club at the high school by far, and it's really just like rocketed in the past few years. And so we've kind of helped facilitate that growth through a lot of fundraisers, mentorship. And then junior year, I decided that I wanted to run for state office. I knew, like, I'd seen the state officers at the state conference, and I had gotten really involved in DECA. And so I knew that, like, I wanted to expand my impact and help as many people as possible. So I was the first person from Medfield who decided to do that. I went through like an interview and test portion, and then I scored well enough on that where I got to campaign at the state conference, which consisted of like giving speeches and running a booth. It was some long days, but I was like privileged to be elected by the end of it. And being a state officer this past year has just been like the most incredible experience. I've gotten to facilitate activities for like the 13,000 Mass DECA members. We've run conferences, done a lot of state initiatives with like running Instagrams, running Zoom calls to help. And so at March, I'll be like speaking in front of like all 4,500 students and kind of running the conference. And yeah, I'm really excited for all of that. I think like being in DECA has just been an amazing experience. I have gained so much confidence, a lot of public speaking skills. Like even last year when I went to go speak at the state conference, I was so terrified speaking in front of everyone, and I felt that I've gotten like more confident each time. It's been an awesome experience. Hey. And then my one last thing I want to highlight is just I think Miss Schaefer, like she truly is the most amazing person. I think especially being on my side of it this year, I'm serving on the board of directors, and so I kind of am on these Zoom calls with Miss Schaefer now, and like I see like she has to put in long hours of like tons of Zooms to facilitate. She will drive back and forth for hours to manage finances. Last minute, she was a co-chair this year, so she ran our entire district conference. She got all of those details ready, and like throughout the 4 years, she has just been like the most positive, encouraging person. Like she's been so inspiring for me and everyone in Medfield DECA, and so we really wouldn't be able to do it without her. So I'm so appreciative of it.
Hello, I'm Joey Gemsky. I'm Brady McCormick. And we have learned so many valuable lessons through DECA, such as problem-solving abilities.
Yeah, we've also learned how to network with, like, there's so many different towns from our state that go to these state competitions, and we've been lucky enough to make it to states these past 2 years. So it's been really just a giving experience, just getting to network and have all these different experiences through this DECA process. And here's one of this is our project from last year, where we did our marketing campaign on the Putting for Patients event in Medfield, and we were also able to implement this in real life, and we helped the Putting for Patients real life event.
Yeah, so we were able to actually implement this campaign that we wrote, and we were able to put into action. And this campaign was able to help host the largest Putting for Patients event, which I believe we were able to raise over $10,000, right? Yeah, so our campaign was able to help advertise it, and it was the largest Putting for Patients event in the past 20 years of the event going on. And we're just truly grateful that we were able to do this in a way that gave us creative outlet and get the opportunity to get revisions through Ms. Schaefer. And she has been such an awesome support through all of this, helping find us as many resources and tools as we can. And she's been such a #1 supporter. And she goes far beyond just DECA through this program, finding us real world business experience. Like I know through DECA, she was able to help find me a internship this year where I was able to study at Georgetown University. And now I get to lead a team this year where we're helping a Nigerian business partner all the way across the world. So it's definitely helpful. And yeah.
And also, as you can see, there's a lot of research that goes into these types of projects. And through our years, just building upon each year and year stacking up to make our presentations even better, we were able to give back and help out some of the younger team. I mean, before the district competition, we were in the flex helping out some of the other prepared events, just prepare and get ready. Some of the freshmen that haven't been there before, just give them a breakdown on how the step-by-step goes and how to make their slides and their presentation a little bit better, give them a little bit of insight that we've learned. And yeah, that's just been a really big part of it. Since we've grown so much, it's really helpful to have somebody to kind of shine light on what you should do, what you should try to highlight in your presentation and just stuff like that.
Yeah, and we're just incredibly thankful for Ms. Schaefer for being so helpful through all of this and helping because, like she said, we're more of a role play driven town, and she really helped us blaze a path to being one of the written events that advanced. I think this year we have the most written events out of any year, so we've definitely had growth in this area. And yeah, we're super grateful for Ms. Schaefer and this program. Yeah.
Did you guys get an announcement on Billy or was that you guys budgeted $0?
We were able to through the iHeartMedia community calendar, so we were able to work with them since we would qualify as a nonprofit under this. So by the research that we did for our project, we were able to get that as a promotion.
got 10 teams that are going to states just because themselves share best practices. They don't make decisions themselves. They share them with students that are going to the same events, right? They want everybody to go forward. Really coming out.
Hi everyone. I know you've heard me speak before, but I'm Elliot, and this is my second year of DECA, and I've thoroughly enjoyed both years. And I think what's special about this program is that even though I'm not particularly interested in going into business or even marketing or things like that, I think it's still given me really invaluable skills of invaluable social skills, professional skills, and even presentational skills that are useful in our even our everyday lives. And especially for me, I worked on the prepared events as Schaefer had talked about before, and I've really learned how to work together with my fellow group members in order to come up with business plans that can actually benefit real world issues. For example, we came up with a business plan with a online service that helps the Japanese population crisis by providing guidance for parents or people who are unsure of parenthood in order to raise confidence in families and the confidence for families to have more children and increase the population. And through this, we made state, and I think it's really helped me learn how to talk with other people, present, and pitch a solution to various judges, and it's been a really special experience for me.
You guys are good readers, just kind of keep scrolling through this. So let's keep rolling. So that way we
Hi, I'm Hamilton Krolek, and I'm here representing the Medfield chapter of DECA. I first heard about DECA from my cross-country captain, Chris Unger, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight, and my teammate, Jackson Pershey, who's going to be speaking in a moment. Both of them this year are running for state officer. I was also introduced to this by Sam George, who plays cello with me, and seriously was a huge encouragement to continue doing this. Honestly, I was really hesitant at first. My schedule was really packed, but they convinced me to give it a shot, and it was one of the best decisions I've made. DECA's become one of the highlights of my year, and it's connected me with people that I probably wouldn't have talked to much before, including tons of upperclassmen and even some sophomores that I just hadn't met. I had a lot of fun between the competition preparation and studying for the exam with Sam and other state qualifier and previous ICDC qualifier casts. But what's really stuck with me most is the community. DECA brings together students from different grades and different circles, all working towards the same goals. That doesn't happen often, and it's something I genuinely appreciate about the program. It's also connected many of the other freshmen as one of the only experiences that almost half of us go through as a class. I wanted to take a moment to thank the school committee for supporting our chapter. The opportunities DECA has given me and continues to give Medfield students make a real difference. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, my name is Hillary Day and I'm a senior at Medfield High School. This is my third year in DECA and my second year headed to SCUC in the buying and merchandising team role play event. I like DECA because it helps build important skills for the future and teaches me how to be confident, work with others, and communicate my ideas clearly. I enjoy competing and challenging myself, and DECA gives me the opportunity to learn about business and leadership in a fun way. Being a part of DECA has helped me grow not only as a student, but as a person. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jackson Pershey, and this is my second year doing DECA. I'm a junior at Medfield High School. I do International Business Plan, which is a written, but never in my life did I think that I would commit myself to something like DECA. DECA has meant so much more to me than I ever thought it would. Whenever someone brings up DECA, I get overjoyed to talk about it. Whether it's late nights preparing for my event or early morning runs to Dunkin' to pick up my lazy friend's orders, I was always happy to do it because it was for DECA. DECA has made me realize what I want to pursue in college and in my future. I never thought that I would get real-world experience that I did from DECA. For instance, I didn't think I would wear a suit in public, but now I have one that my parents almost had a heart attack that they had bought for me. DECA has brought me closer with people that I am proud to call my friends, and it has let me experience things I never thought I would. DECA is not just a club, it's a way to meet new people, and it is a way to become more confident in yourself and in your heart. I want to thank Ms. Schaefer being the absolutely greatest advisor for DECA. She's helped me so much, whether it's online or in person. She always has the best advice for me.
Hi, I'm Lincoln Kenny, and I'm a sophomore, and this is my second year doing DECA. So this year I wanted to do something different, and so I decided on the community giving project. And basically what I had to do was find an issue in the community and then actually fundraise for it. So while I don't want to go into business while I'm in college, DECA has allowed me to pursue what I truly love doing, and I've the past few years I've like fallen in love with film. And so through DECA, I was able to host a film festival while fundraising for breast cancer, which has affected me and many others in my community. So DECA's really given me a way to pursue what I love. Ms. Schaefer's also helped me a lot through it. And so I've just really enjoyed DECA.
Thanks.
Hi, my name is Fai Sakakar, and my event for DECA is Principles of Business Administration and Management, and I'm really honored to say that I got top 2 in my event this year, so I'm going to be going to states as a freshman, which I'm very excited about. And I want to thank Schaefer and Sam and the rest of the e-board who support us so much, and the school committee, because without you guys, really this club, I don't think it'd be as popular as it is. And it really is very popular here. It's one of the things that so many of the members of our student body do. It brings together so many different parts of the school community, and it's a really great way to meet new people, meet upperclassmen, and network to other parts of the school. And I really do love DECA because when you're there, it's an experience that you get, and it's once in a lifetime for us, at least this time. And you get to meet all sorts of new people and face challenges head on. It also gave me loads of great skills like problem solving, thinking on my feet, and public speaking. I actually get really jittery when I speak in public, so it was a great way for me to learn how to tone that down and control myself when I'm speaking and really hone in my presentation skills. And I'm really, really excited about going to states and so appreciative that I joined this club and I let myself have this experience. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Yachi and I'm a freshman. And through DECA, I've been able to meet so many amazing and supportive people from not only Medfield, but from different schools. And I feel like DECA has given me a very interactive way to learn about business. And my event was Restaurant Food Service Management.
Hi, my name is Zach, and I'm a junior.
This is my second year in DECA, and it's been a huge perspective shifter for me. Until DECA, I really didn't know what I wanted to do in life, but it's really opened my eyes into the world of business. It's hands-on and genuinely engaging, and it gives me real-world experience and helps me build confidence, communication skills, and problem-solving skills in a practical way. Last year, I was able to compete at districts, states, and even went on to ICDC, which pushed me way out of my comfort zone in the best possible way. I really value the community at DECA. I've made out-of-school friends that I still keep in touch with and had a lot of friends with those I already knew. I'm so grateful to be a part of DECA and its community. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Good luck at states.
Like, it is amazing that you, Ms. Schaefer,
Yeah, go.
Ms. Schaefer. No, but
No, you have to stay here.
So I understand that you're gonna brush this off and say it's all them, and it is all them, right? But they have been able to do this because of your guidance, and to double the amount of students in a year in a club is impressive.
Phenomenal.
Like, that's crazy.
She's the best.
You're like, I don't want any more students. I can't take any more. Pretend to talk. There you go.
Ms. Schaefer, what do you think, or maybe that's the kids, what is the attraction that brings so many people to be involved in DECA? I mean, we're talking 271, which is...
It's Miss Schaefer.
It's part of it. Big part of it.
I know.
It's much fun for the ratio fits into the slides. It is so much fun. There's always 1,300 or 4,000 students for them to talk to, say things to, so we get to practice so much. And some kids go off. Just fit it in where it fits in. Community is different tonight. I never realized it until really does make nice connections with students.
It sounds like it.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it really is. Thank you.
Half the high school.
Okay, up next, we are going to discuss full-day kindergarten and preschool tuition. Dr. Marsden?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So in your materials, you have a memo. We talked a little bit about this last week at the budget hearing. Essentially, as part of our ongoing FY27 budget process, we're reviewing all of our sources of revenue. So we looked at surrounding districts, and our preschool tuition was below the regional median. And when we're talking about this, we're talking about the 4 full-day program. Okay. Currently, Medfield charges $7,230, while the median tuition around comparable communities is $8,810. Several local districts, Dover, Sherburne, and Needham, charge significantly more, with rates exceeding $11,000 in some cases. Given the context around this, Michael and I looked at it, and we recommend 4 full-day tuition for preschool to be $9,000 beginning in FY27. It aligns, I guess, with our regional districts around us. In the budget implications, we anticipate an increase in revenue of $28,320. That's based on the 16 students that we have in the program. But we anticipate in the program, and we continue to work with agencies in town to support those families that may not be able to afford that. We've worked with Medfield Outreach and Medfield Foundation in the past to get tuition payments and reduce tuition payments for certain students. So that's kind of where we are with the preschool piece of it. Looking at the full-day kindergarten, I guess it's just really going back to what we originally had with full-day kindergarten, which is $3,500 instead of the anticipated $2,750. If you remember, this class coming up next year was the last class we're going to charge tuition to. Then it was going to be free tuition beyond that, but I think what we're looking at right now, budget-wise, it doesn't make a lot of sense to do that. The additional revenue increase for a full-day kindergarten is about 146,250, and we base that on 195 students. So, as Michael explained during the hearing last week, that we take a percentage of students that will be free or reduced in effect. And even though we're expecting, 230, we base it on around 200, and we reduce numbers based on what we think we're free or reduced. So we based our projections on 195. These additional revenues will allow us to move kindergarten positions out of the operating budget and then into the revolving account, which we've done in the past. So it's essentially going backward a couple of years, and we moved them into operating, now we're moving them back into the revolving account. So that would be my recommendation, to increase the 4-day preschool to 9,000 and then revert back to our regular tuition of 3,500 for kindergarten.
I'm sorry, you may have just said it, Dr. Marsden, but it was at 2,700 or 3,500?
I'm sorry?
The $3,500 was 2,700 this
Would
year?
have been 2,750 this year, that was the plan.
Okay.
So if you do nothing, it stays at 2,750 for this year.
And that amount nets us 7,500 times, how many? Sorry.
So if you're talking about the full day kindergarten?
Yeah.
Yeah, so full day kindergarten, we anticipate an increase of 146 based on that, just on that increase there. That's it. Yeah.
Is there, so I noticed like the equity considerations and the Medfield outreach for preschool, and is there anything what's the availability if there's a family that is looking at full day kindergarten as opposed to half day? Is there the same opportunities
thing.
for Medfield
The
outreach?
exact same thing. And we look at reducing tuition for some kids, and then that's at 5 to 10% that we build in there. So we know we're going to have more than 195. We anticipate that, but we know that there's some kids that won't pay full tuition. Basically.
And then in terms of the preschool, I was looking at like what some other towns do, and what the options are. The cost for the rest of it would stay the same, like in terms of the last days. So it's just for that 4 day.
Yeah, we're pretty much in line with everyone else.
Okay, that's what it
it's
seemed like.
the 4 day that we're not.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm that.
Any other questions?
So if you vote to approve this, then we would look at taking those positions out of the operating budget and bringing the number down. That makes sense. Bringing that number to 5.02 down by what we reduce, right? So there'd be a different number as we're taking those positions out.
Yeah, I don't have a question, but I just want to say, I didn't just talk, right? Is everyone to vote to this? Like this stinks that we have to do this. Like I want to name that. I want to name that. Like sitting up here, I think, I think frankly the state could do more to help us pay for kindergartens if they want kids to be able to read. But from where we're at, as an elected official and community member and all this, like it stinks that we have to do this. But I just want to name that I'm about to vote for this because we all know how I feel about cutting teachers, and I think we need to save all the teachers. So that last part that Dr. Marsden just said, like the last thing I want to do is go backwards, right? But this is, I think, one of the only ways that we have that we can control something where we're going to be able to save roughly 2 teachers' jobs here. So I just want to say that again to the tens of thousands of people listening, but just so people know where I'm at. And if you want to talk to me or us about this, my phone has not rung about this vote. But it stinks that we're doing this. But again, it's going to be hard on our kindergarten families coming in, our youngest families. But we need to save as many teacher jobs as we can. So just me sitting here, Will Horn, that's why I'm voting yes. I just want to name all that.
My only comment is that as much as I think maybe thinking back, we may have been naive to think we could scale this back, without being able to project the ultimate pinch that is bound to happen in all communities across the Commonwealth with a Proposition 2.5. So there is no way that you can continue to grow until inflation drops below 2.5%. So So when we're talking about what we were about to go for an override, you're talking about what it would cost to fund just the increase in your premium. So, because that's what I budgeted for in our budget of a similar sized district. So I just want those numbers to sink in where we're talking about increasing 146,000. That is less than, that's barely over 10% of, it's only 14% of what we're trying to encumber.
All right, any other comments on this before we vote? Do I hear a motion to approve the tuition increases for full-day kindergarten and preschool as stated in the memo? So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, carries.
Thank you.
All right, Dr. Marsden, the mid-year strategic plan progress update.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So in your materials, you have an update of where we are. I know it's 3 pages, but I'll just kind of go through quickly if I can, and certainly will answer any questions that you have. I think safety and belonging is something that we talk a lot about, and you heard it with our DECA kids today talking about belonging as part of that group. Some of the interesting things in here, evaluate the current practices to support students and staff well-being. So we administered the Metro West survey this year. As we all know, that happened this year. So we had a lot of opt-outs, as you remember. So we'll see what the results are this year and see how many. I think we had something like 20% or something opt-outs. So we'll have to see how the results go there. The implementing Wayfinder district-wide was a really important goal for us. So weekly lessons happen in pre-K to 5, all school assemblies. Blake has monthly lessons and advisory over 2 days, and the high school has lessons on day 1 every 8 days. So that's been, positive received. I think sometimes the older kids don't like the fact that their time is taken away from them, but at the younger grade, it's been super positive what's going on with that. Promote a sense of belonging. Align DEI efforts. Our DEIB committees every other month. The DEIB belonging group. The buildings have meetings every single month, and then there's a group that is the district-wide meeting, and they've done a really good job with that, looking at curriculum, etc. With school safety, that we had a new SRO this year, and our SRO and our SLO, remember that's a school liaison officer, they've been visiting health classes, talking about bike safety and internet safety, and that's been really positive. The restorative practices, that's been ongoing, responsive classroom and restorative practices. We do have a full staff training planned in 26, 27. School start time implementation, implemented the new start times. We're going to look at soliciting parent, staff, and student feedback later on in the spring to get some feedback on what they think about it. Certainly not perfect, but we feel like the positives outweigh some of the negatives that you've heard some tonight from students. And then we implemented that new extended day program to support the elementary families, which has been fantastic. That's really been a nice addition to our school community, and it really filled the gap for those parents that need it. In terms of communication and engagement and community engagement, the implementation of Parent Square has been very successful, aside from the storm call that some of you got 3 phone calls in one night. They fixed that, so they say. It's interesting. And then we went, I spoke with them that entire day that we were off. I spoke to them for a while on that, because what had happened is that there was just different levels of sending. And when we were sending them as people were getting what they chose to get. So if you chose you wanted a text, you would get a text. If you chose you want an email, you got an email. If you chose you want a phone call, you get a phone call. And then it goes through and it does all of those. And if there's no one reading the text, no one looking at the email, opening it up, then it goes to a phone call. So we had to switch some of the settings so that it goes directly to a phone call as an urgent call, not as what people chose. That's what happened, why some people got multiple calls, some didn't get calls at all. So they had an issue with their third-party vendor, but I think it worked out well, and everyone was notified for sure multiple times. So that was one little hiccup, but so far it's been really, really good with great positive feedback from parents on that. We're having conversation with Parent Square right now about updating to one of their websites. We probably won't do that this year based on our budget situation. Homeschool connection, we just had a Medfield Talks this past week. We have another one planned in April and May. That's been going really well. Family webinars at the elementary level, one's coming up this month, and I know there's going to be a couple on AI, one for elementary parents at the end of the month, and then the second night after that for secondary parents. That's really positive. I'll skip down to curriculum. Vertical teams, we have the math vertical team in progress. Tech digital literacy is launched and they're working. The math pilots are coming to an end at the middle school. I was in classrooms today observing the lessons. They were going really, really well. So there'll be a decision on that coming up soon. AI guidelines at your last meeting, and will be fully implemented with staff and students in March. We're giving principals and teachers time to review some of that with their kids and with their staff before they become the guidelines that we implement. Social emotional learning, again, that was Wayfinder. We had the staff training in August and October, and we launched this fall. Streamlined student transition. So it's ongoing meetings with grade 9 teachers specific to the transition. And we had PD on January 14th to discuss transitions, especially in grades 6 through 12. And then the 3 elementary principals, they continue to coordinate transitions 1 to 2 and then 3 to 4. A lot of discussion around that. So that's been going really well. And then lastly, facilities and finance and personnel. Looking at solar at Memorial, which we learned today is live.
Woohoo.
So that's great. We finally got that live. That's awesome. We're going to do a ceremony with folks from the Energy Committee at some point coming up soon. But I guess it's really doing really well. It's generating a lot of energy. Solar company called Michael today to let them know that was happening. And then we're still working on that new roof of solar at Blake, which hopefully will happen for us this summer. Partnership with the Warren Committee, that's in progress. Continue to negotiate a Unit A successor contract, again in progress. And increasing the kindergarten and preschool fees, looking at new revenue streams. I think, at some point we need to look at bus fees again as a district, so we'll have to look at that. And then I think, looking at the capital committee and the capital budget, which Michael serves on for the district. Owen has done a presentation asking for funds for that, and then that will replace the end-of-life security cameras and projectors that we have within our district. So a lot going on, a lot happening. We'll certainly have a more detailed one at the end of the year, but that's our mid-year update of our strategic plan.
One thing I just wanted to add with the Wayfinder, even though it is during flex, it's during the advisory period, which is locked out and you can't flex it anywhere. So instead of kind of just sitting in advisory prior years, we actually have something to do, which I think personally has been very helpful. For senior year, we're doing decisions and kind of life beyond high school. So we're learning decision matrices and what you can do other than college for next year. So I personally have found it really helpful, and I've used some of the skills that I've learned during flex periods for the Wayfinder, outside of school. So
that's great, Hillary.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you, Hillary.
I'll say my elementary school student seems to love it. I mean, my 11-year-old boy clearly is not very engaged in it, but that's expected. But I'm glad to hear that at the high school.
Yeah, I think that's grade wide. I think everyone finds it helpful instead of just being on your phone during advisory when you have to be there and locked, you're flexed in so you can't move. It's actually giving you an activity and you're talking with your classmates and kind of learning what everyone wants to do, and also kind of making decisions for.
And I think the nice thing is that it's consistent curriculum K to 12, so that this is just the first year. So when kids are in 4th, 5th, 6th grade, they would have had it 4 or 5 or 6 years going in. So this is the first time, the exposure to it. So by the time, our kindergarten, 1st grade kids are at Hillary's age, that would have had it for 11 and 12 years and really be effective. So.
Back to the solar, Dr. Marston, will there be a website that will show the active production day over day?
I'm sorry, what?
Will there be a website showing off the website showing solar production to the community?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, considering we just found out it was working today, and it was done in August, so that's definitely in the future. I know other schools have done that.
Well, I was going to say, as trying to encourage the community to invest more in that. That'd be good to show.
So, understanding that we spent a lot of time discussing the dashboard back at the beginning of this process, I know we don't usually update mid-year, but I'm curious just when we updated last and kind of how that process went.
So the end of last year and Neil and I need to sit down and go through it again because he has some, I mean, he has that in mind for how we're gonna weight certain things and what it's gonna look like, so we're gonna try to get together after February vacation to do another update for this year, even though, because there are some mid-cycle things that need to be updated, sure.
Anything else? All right. Any other items since posting on February 3rd?
Have none, Madam
Okay.
Chair.
Moving on to old business and the FY27 budget update. So we have a small budget working group that has met a few times. We've had some really productive conversations. This comes off of the email that I sent to all of you guys about forming this 2 months ago, maybe, I don't know, sometime after the group meeting that we had. And then separate from that group, Diana and I met with Steve Callahan and Ed Vizella yesterday of the warrant committee, and we had some really good discussions. So one of the things we chatted about, a specific ask from the warrant committee, is an itemized list of the cuts that have been presented so far. So I asked Dr. Marsden to take a pass on it, and then we can discuss together kind of what this might look like, because they'll be utilizing this when they make their decisions going forward in this space.
Sure.
Yes.
So in your materials, you have a memo as requested by the Medfield Warrant Committee. Following reductions are presented in prioritized order, guided by our commitment to preserving the instructional core, maintaining essential student supports, and sustaining a well-rounded Medfield experience. In developing this list, we carefully evaluated which areas of the district may be better positioned than others to absorb reductions while striving to minimize the overall impact on students. It's important to acknowledge, however, that reductions like these have real consequences for our kids and staff. Our target reduction was $1,433,384, so there is $37,341 to put back into the budget based on these recommendations. Essentially, we went over the number, so this is kind of the order in which we put them in. I'll go through each one if you like. Can we go through each one, or?
Well, I think the thing to note, what they're looking for specifically is the positions that are most critical to staying and which ones are less critical, right? And so Diana and I also took a pass at this, and one of the things that we discussed was kind of the effects, how the effects are felt at an elementary, a K through 5 level, versus how the effects are felt in middle school, and versus how they're how they're felt in the high school. And some of these places, it's a little bit easier to absorb some of these things than the elementary school. So I would say because we just voted the memorial teachers, right? They're no longer on the list, right? We can put them in the revolver.
So the reduction of the 1.0 on the, let's see, 7 down to 75,000, yes, that would be in there, and the same for the one down below.
Okay, so the memorial teachers are no longer on this list, so we can take them off. So then what we'd be looking at is basically, it's kind of, in reverse orders, kind of in that Dale Street teacher at the bottom, we're prioritizing as our most critical need, and then the custodian and the summer R&D kind of at the top are our less critical. So I think the other thing to note is the 3.9 still between?
It is.
Okay. So recognizing the 3.9 that was presented in Dr. Marsden's budget last week. So in between the Dale Street teacher, the 2.0 Dale Street teacher, and the 1.4 Wheelock teacher, that's kind of where the 3.9 mark is. So again, if you're drawing a line and looking down, so Wheelock, you'd have a Wheelock.
It'll change now because the memorial teacher shaking my head.
Right, that's what I was, so we'd move it up.
We could, yeah. I mean, I think some of those, what we did going through was we added additional position. We added one additional position in there, which I think is the admin assistant, which wasn't there last week. So that threw the numbers off a little bit. So essentially what we did is looked at what we did in the budget book to get us to the 3.9, and then what we'd have to cut for the 1.8. So we then prioritize those. So it's not in the same order as it appears in your budget book, but that's why the 1.4 Wheelock teacher was in the original 3.99, but because of the additional reductions up top, they're not. They went down to the 1.
So then my question to you guys, because we need to be sharing this with the warrant committee, is when you look at this list, is there anything you feel is not in the right order?
Well, I've got a bunch of questions.
Okay, go for it.
3.8 FTEs equaling 149,000 seems odd. I'm curious how
Well, that's a cluster of teachers, and not all full-time.
So that would be removing a cluster.
So it's not 3.8 FTE, it's 3.8 positions.
It's not all, it's 3.8 FTE, but they're not all full-time teachers. Are you saying the number's too low?
Yeah, he said
Yeah.
the salary's too low.
Yeah, that would be more like 400,000 to me. Right?
So the way it works, Leo, is it's you have to look at the teacher's contract and the RIF process, and you have to go through.
Sorry, the fan
Can you
makes
hear
it
me?
really hard to hear.
Can you hear me?
A little better, yeah.
Yeah. So you have to go through the teacher's contract and look at the RIF language, and then from there you have to, we have a list of which teachers have professional status and which don't.
Yep.
And the teachers that don't have professional status will be the first on that list. So it might not be a middle school teacher that gets riffed. It could be a high school teacher. It could be an
Gotcha.
elementary teacher.
Okay.
So
All right.
you have to pinpoint that, which we have done.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes more sense now. And so if we were to, okay.
Can I just ask, like, the thinking behind, like, lumping the, sort of in the order of importance, like, lumping the Blake teachers together? Can you talk through, like, what the thinking of, like, what was the rationale for keeping that together versus maybe splitting it up and having them in two different?
So I would say that
Spaces. Does that
sitting
make sense?
down with Nat Kelly, going over the schedule, and then going over the class sizes,
Mhm.
that it made sense that you could, I mean, it's not perfect, but one reduction of a cluster could be absorbed at a particular grade level better than others. So that's why we kept it all together.
I think what would be helpful to submit with this would be the class size impact, K to 12, and so what the average class size impact would be. I don't remind folks it is something I'm extremely passionate about, as far as quality of delivery of education. So seeing what a cluster being absorbed for just this 1 year, mind you, as we have 2 bubbles, I believe, coming through the system, if I remember correctly.
We do.
And I believe, if I remember correctly, they both will hit Blake at the same time at 6 and 8.
6 and an 8.
6 and an 8. So, and so looking at that and what that does over time, I think would be, obviously something that we could share in this process. And I guess somehow explain, if I'm asking it, the 3.8, someone else is going to probably ask that question too. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think, this is a very similar conversation we had many years ago when we're looking at class size and there was a cluster reduction that we looked at doing, and the committee did not want that. And, those kids enjoyed really low class sizes for their entire middle school and high school career. That was something that and I'm talking about 14, 15, 16 kids in the class for their 6 through 12 career.
And I think also, obviously, the high school, class sizes, I think would be important. And I know that's a moving target sometimes with electives.
It's a huge moving target because based on the schedule, you could have 15 kids with one and 29 in another. It could be the same class. It's not. I mean, we can get all that obviously, but it's not as easy to.
I think it's more section size than class.
It's section and course offerings are the issues.
Yeah.
It's pretty cut and dry in elementary.
Yeah.
It's really cut and dry. So we would be able to.
So K to 8 is probably.
We've looked at the elementary removing 1 or 2 per grade level, what that does to certain grade levels. And you're looking at, as I said during the hearing last week, you're looking at numbers that push the limits to what your policy says is acceptable, for sure. And what I mean, I would think the expectation for Medfield parents is that elementary school classrooms are 17 to 21. That would be a clear expectation I would have for Medfield parents. I'm telling you, if we reduce those numbers as we're talking about, it will not be that. And I won't quote a number because I'll be held to it forever, but I will get you the numbers next time and go through.
Yep, that's fair.
How would you even, how do you get the high school class size number? How would you even do
So
that?
look on Aspen.
Section
And
number.
by course, that'd be all by course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just what it is currently, cut a teacher that does like that, but we won't know like next year how many kids sign up for each of those classes,
You
right?
don't.
I just want to make sure everyone, like,
Yeah, you
K
don't-
through 8, I'm with you, and I know people want class size, and this is, again, why I think our teachers are great, but we know if we lose them, also the class sizes go up. So I'm here for this. I just want to like, make sure it's like super clear to do class size stuff for the high school. It's very hard to do. Like, I mean, I understand you'll give us the sections, but like next year, everyone will take art instead of, it's just a moving target, like you said. So I just,
Could be core classes too, right?
Yeah.
So, you'd be
Yeah, sure.
targeting your cores, and then your freshman math classes may go up by 3.
Right.
And
I think the core you
personalizing.
can do
yeah.
I think that would be helpful. Just
Or
like-
reducing electives, right? I mean, which people don't like to do, right? You reduce electives, which was on the table 5 years ago, I believe, right?
Sure.
Yep. So,
but overall, I'd say I think the order looks like makes sense. I think it's the younger we want to. I like the younger schools, whatever we say, being the highest priority to keep. I think that makes sense. So
well, I think
go to the list.
I guess instead of that, K8 having class size impact, I think perhaps it's programmatic impact at the high school, right? What's the programmatic impact of those cuts, or are we looking at non-scheduled folks that are on this list, like coaches and other folks of that nature?
Well, I mean, I think one of the things that people aren't really clear about is when we mention things like a couple of meetings ago, studies isn't flex. And I don't want people to confuse the two. A study is kids in a room with whoever's open on that particular period to cover kids. It's very different than flex. It's not like kids can go into it and they can get extra help or take a test. It's just a very different animal. It's not as organized as flex. It's just very, very different. So there are other communities around here that have instituted those studies, not flex, in middle school and high school. And I think that's what we don't want to get to ever. We don't want to go back. We don't go back to that. That was something that was, 20, 25 years ago in Medfield. We don't want to do that. So I think, that's a potential when you start having not enough courses for kids to take. They have to be somewhere. So if they're not in their elective, they have to be somewhere. That somewhere might be in the cafeteria.
And my understanding,
That's the difference between a study and a flex. I don't want people to think they're the same thing.
and neither one of those counts as time on learning. Is that correct?
Correct.
Right. Study or flex?
Flex does.
Flex does, but study does not. And just for people, in case
I mean, I
anyone
have to
ever
check
watches
on the
this.
study part, to be honest with you, but I think some places count it as.
Yeah, some districts count it. I think they call them directed researchers and certain
Yeah, right.
things. And it's
It's a
kids
study.
watch a lot of Netflix.
That
but-
wouldn't be us.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
People can't see that being a credit counting towards graduation.
Correct.
So during the budget hearing, when we, tell me if this is the wrong time for the subject. One of our colleagues brought up an important factor around the Dale Street project and asking for an override at this time. And I think one of the things that we should be, I agree that we should be cognizant of that. And I feel that if we don't ask for the right amount now, we may be forced to come back and ask for more, or be smack dab in the same decision-making process we are today, asking for more to operate the district and then asking for an override to fund a building project. So I think I understand her concern and I agree with that. So I think one of the things we should be thinking about in this budget is the longevity of the number to operate the district in the coming years without asking for an operating override.
So I will say, I, again, touch base with Steve today, and at their meeting this coming Tuesday, the warrant committee will be discussing the establishment of a new article to establish an operating budget stabilization fund to handle some of the concerns for the FY28 budget. I don't know the mechanics around it yet. That's just the information he shared. But I think it does go a little to what you're saying in regards to, can we evaluate some things that might help us in that space?
I would love to hear some, that sounds like the rainy day fund to me.
I mean,
But we're gonna put a different label on it. so
Tune in
that-
on Tuesday, I guess.
And I know there was discussion about AAA bond rating and everything else, but they will look at that and call it for what it is. The Department of Revenue in the state of Massachusetts looks at everything and calls it for what it is. Some of the learning I've done the last 2 years of my career, and it's still going to get funded from the same pot of money, you know, our taxes. So I think that's a great idea. I love some of the new thinking over the last 5-6 years that the town is engaged in as far as funding capital projects. And I think we're seeing it pay off by funding, you know, having those set funds go into there. And I think we're in great shape because of it. However, I think as far as the day-to-day operating costs it is to run the town and the schools, it's currently right this second requiring, you know, the tax levy is not meeting what needs to have that at the current services that are needed. And we really don't want to be in a position, and unless the warrant committee is privy to information about whether it's expenses rolling off, which I know that is out there and I have not looked at it, meaning that bonds we have open that we're paying for, we're no longer paying for. So that frees up space in the operating budget for them to share. And maybe they have a plan for that. And perhaps that's the conversation that needs to continue to happen around what that plan looks like, so that the work that we're putting into a second time around for the Dale Street project is not.
So back to the list. So does anyone have anything else that they want to move or change, or any questions about the list? Or are we comfortable sending this over?
I think the order makes sense.
Okay.
I trust in Dr. Marston and Mr. LaFrancesca's work on this.
And I do think that the next couple of months, things will change too. I mean, we'll look
Right.
at, we could have additional needs, students, et cetera. So things could change. It's just the end all be all list, but I think it's the start, what we're asked to do.
I will say Diana and I, when we were speaking with Ed and Steve yesterday, they had some questions around more specifics around programs that could be cut, specific teachers that might be, you know, roles and things on the line. And one of the things that we talked to them about is that without us having a concrete number, knowing what we're working towards, it's hard for us to be in that space to speculate about specific jobs, programs, and positions. And align with the fact that, you know, it's the 100th day of school today. We're just over the halfway mark of the year. It doesn't help our students or our staffs to be in this place of uncertainty as we continue the rest of the school year. So we are in a little bit of a waiting pattern until we know a little bit more around the specific number that we're going to be working for with the override. So if we're good in this space, another thing that we talked about was some ways to increase revenue on the school side. And you mentioned this early, but I wanted to see what people's thoughts were on looking into bus fees again, or sports fees, or parking fees.
I've said before, I'm here for as I don't. What people are going to say what they say. I think increasing fees, because it is a way that people that are using the school can pay extra, because obviously we have lots of taxpayers who don't have children in the school. So I like the idea. I have learned from Michael that me saying I want to increase, a lot of them are earmarked for a specific thing, right? So I just need to know that kind of stuff. Michelle, when we're talking about fees, sports fees live in athletics, right? So that doesn't help us save teachers. So I'm here for more, those of us with kids in school, the more we can help and be ourselves. We need the money, right? I mean, I'm not going to keep going and people say whatever they say about me on Facebook, but we need more money. I'm here for more money we can add to the pot, right? We just voted to increase kindergarten tuition, which isn't something any of us are excited about doing. But so if there are fees we can charge, and Michael, I need to learn from you a little bit, that throw money back into the pot that aren't just like for athletics, I'd be happy to talk about those. But to like, so what are those? Because what are our options? Like even parking has to go for parking stuff, right? You told
Yeah.
So I don't know where we're gaining, I guess.
If we did bus fees, we
Yeah.
could use that to offset the cost. Of
So
the
bus fees is
but that frees up money somewhere else.
Right.
So, I mean, that's,
And transportation's like, obviously our largest expense besides labor, our labor.
Has that, so the history of that, like, how has that been looked into before? Or like what has, like, I guess I'd be curious about, in like, looking at some other districts and what they do. I saw that some do bus fees for middle and high school or things like that. Like, I guess I'd have questions about.
We have a unique problem, and correct me if I'm wrong, when it comes to.
Regionals can't.
Right, well, no.
Oh, I thought you meant
Oh, no. So what he was referring to is regional districts
Yes.
get funded from the state, or get some funding. But when we have a unique issue here, whereas we have to bus students over beyond a certain mileage.
Yeah.
All of our buses go to all of our schools. So each year there's going to be an operational overhead to find and fund that each time, like who gets exempt and who doesn't.
Yeah.
Then if I remember correctly, the savings was in the neighborhood. I don't know, Michael. Do you remember? I have around $150,000 in my head as a savings.
Yeah, it was a little bit under 150 because
I had 147. To be honest.
it was because we have to hire a part-time person to manage
Yeah,
it,
of course.
right?
Yeah.
Because I'll give you an example. If you live, let's say, on Green Street, right? You live at a distance from Wheelock where you don't have to pay for your child to go to Wheelock, right? But you're required to pay for your child that goes to Dale and Memorial. So you could be paying for 2 students and not the one that's going to Wheelock. But they're all 3 going to be on the same bus.
Yeah.
and everyone 7 through 12.
And everyone, and 7 through 12, we don't have to provide transportation if we didn't want to. So when we spoke about this last time, we said we could, in year 1 or 2, look at having fees for students that are in grades 7 through 12. We have all the data. We have, what other communities charge. We know which communities charge at the 7th through 12th and which charge, K through 12. Most districts that charge K through 12 are neighborhood schools. And it's just the way we are set up here. The last time we did this, it was somewhere around, let's say 150, but you had to add a 0.5. So, we set up 0.5 was about $30,000. So you would take that off the top. So you would be bringing in approximately $120,000.
And that was charging fees for 7 through 12.
That's 7 through 12.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
I mean, our
Yeah,
thinking is-
elementary school would
our
be a
thinking
nightmare.
has changed
I
a
mean, I
little
think
bit though.
to
Mike and I
figure
have
out.
talked about the last couple of weeks about looking at a K-12 model and really charging for everyone. It is a lot to do, but there are 2 other communities near us that have a similar setup with Holliston and Hopkinton, and they both charge elementary. So I think it's kind of, we're at that point right now where we need to look at this again and look at it seriously. And Medway was the last one around here that wasn't charging like us, and they added it 2 years ago. So we're kind of alone in this right now.
So if you'd like them to put something together, we can have a presentation about this in one of our March meetings. If we feel like this is a worthwhile.
I think we should look. I think we owe it to everyone to look at it. I think one of the things I also remember is the number of buses. Even though we may not use them all for part of the day, we still have to lease them because pay the company to lease them because they've tied the bus up for that day because they can't go reuse it elsewhere. So there's a certain level of overhead that's also involved that cuts into what we think we can obviously save. And I think perhaps maybe there is a surveyable approach here, among other things that I'd like to see surveyed. that is, the stomach to pay the transportation fee, who would and who wouldn't, so that we could get an idea of what the ridership might look like. Because I always kind of ask my kids how many kids actually take the bus in the high school. Like I've happened to have driven my kids 3 days this week, and it's only it's only Thursday, for one reason or another. But to see what that ridership would look like, if in fact people had to pay for that. And the only question I had, Michael, on athletics, to answer the athletics question, how much outside of stipends, how far under does athletics run for their operating costs that fees don't cover? Do we have, how much we have to kick in out of the operating budget each year?
Sure.
Well, besides salary.
So the stipends are about 320,000.
320 for stipends.
Correct. And then we do partial transportation, and then there's another line item for membership fees that's also in our operation.
Do you know how much for transportation? I mean, I'm sure it keeps going up.
I believe it's 50,000.
60?
It's in the book. I have to. So it's about. So, the thing with the fees, right? We are collecting fees. We're in the same ballpark as other communities around us. But supplies, most of our supplies, ring time, pool rental, gymnastics rental, that's where the cost is. And that's all coming out of our revolving account. And that keeps on going up year after year after year.
What do we charge per sport? I mean, I think I remember this.
It's a tiered system. So, so we have 3 tiers. We have a tier for like,
correct. Where we have to rent stuff.
Correct.
In the fields.
And then we have a tier with I think $250 for like football and soccer and lacrosse.
How much? $250?
It's $250.
Fairly reasonable, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I believe for hockey and gymnastics is it's in the 300s.
Is there a family cap?
There is a family cap.
I mean, 250 sounds like a bargain, actually. That's for a top tier one?
No, that's for the middle tier.
That's for a low tier. What's a hockey tier?
Is it 350? It's at 400 now. Yeah. See, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, they asked us to raise it. The hockey
Yeah,
parents
that's
asked us
right.
to raise
Yeah.
it last year.
That's right.
Last year.
So.
Does anyone have any interest in what other communities charge for bus fees? Just a quick.
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
These are just around here. Ashland 290, Brookline 400, Dedham 265, Franklin 360, Hopkinton 200, Needham 415, Norwood 275, Mansfield 300, Millis 326, which is odd. Medway 265, Sharon, another odd number, 567.
Those must be averages.
Westwood 290, Walpole 325, Wellesley 300, Holliston 240, Fort 15, and Median is 300.
But so if we can ask you guys to do this presentation, but like, I mean, the total wild card here, right, is people just drive their kids to school and then we have more traffic, like, because we got close to this, or I think we looked at this, but like, we don't know if 60% of the people are going to drive. And then that 125 turns into whatever we said, 170 miles, like, then it's $60,000. Because, the bus, again, like I said, I am here for the people using the school paying more, but this just gets real messy all of a sudden if everyone opts out and drives their kid, and we know there's a population in this town that has the privilege and ability to do that. So it's just
So the last time we proposed it was in year 1. We don't put that toward the operational budget so we can see what we actually bring in.
Right.
Because we don't have an idea, correct?
Right.
And then in year 2, taking that in consideration, putting that funding, into the operational budget. But in year 1, not knowing, so let's say we say it's 150, but we get 80,000.
Right.
Then we're going to be in a deficit.
Sure.
Or we could be on the other side of it, correct?
Right, sure.
So the goal was, we don't know what the costs are going to be because we don't know how many families are going to say, you know what, I'm just going to drive my kids to school, or I'm going to have my high school kid drive my elementary kid because now they don't have to be in school until afterwards, right?
Yeah.
So then that, something that we have to consider also.
Well, and Michael, I think, what happens in that sense, right? What if only, at $300 and 2,500 students, it's $750,000. It's a good number, right? But in our contract is what, 1.5? Give it to, I know there's a budget book, sorry.
Yeah.
You get a book over there? And then,
I can tell you our
and how many
student
bus-
services transportation is going to 880. I'm
Yep.
trying to remember.
and how many buses do we run?
We run 20 buses.
20 buses. So the real, question is if we charge, are we either going to be, what is the break even, or what is the point where we're actually making enough money over, a certain amount to make that work in our
Correct.
favor, right?
Correct.
So-
And that's why if we implement it, that's fine. I'm just saying in year one, we need to see what we're going to be tracking, right? Because we don't know.
And maybe it's something we do test over that time as we prepare, as moving forward into the future, because we're going to end up having to, but we're going to ease it in so that people get used to it. Maybe it's cheap enough that it's only one dinner out, and they'll still do it, and not drive. No, sorry, Will.
I understand what you're saying.
But they won't just drive their kids, and
I think we'd want to try to find information from parents, what they're thinking
Yeah.
before we did anything.
Yeah. Wonder if part of the survey for the start time.
Right.
If we actually do want to look into it.
All right, so if you guys could put something together for one of the March meetings, I think this is the second one, right? Okay. So then important dates, and when we can expect information, and discussions going forward. So February 24th, the schools will be presenting at the warrant committee. That's our annual presentation. The end of March and early April, the warrant committee has their hearing scheduled at the end of March. And then if it goes long, they will have an additional meeting the following week. Sometime in that space at one of those two meetings, that's when they would be making their final recommendation on the override amount. To get to this point, they're going to have to review the FY27 and 28 budgets, the related cuts, the priority of restoration, and weigh all of that with tax impacts to residents. So they have a lot of information that they're going to be sifting through as well before they get to that point. The other thing we talked about was that the override vote at town meeting actually is a 50% vote, not 2/3.
Oh, really?
Yep.
It's useful.
And the town meeting's
But
on
there-
May 4th. Sorry, go ahead.
There is still the
then there's a
second ballot
yes.
one, right? That's something that I think is important people understand.
It's a two-part process.
Yeah.
Michelle, can you repeat when you said between these two dates is when they would determine the final?
So they
When-
have,
what were those dates?
they have, so they're hoping
Okay, sorry.
that they can have
Fingers
their
crossed.
one meeting at the very end of March. I think it was like,
Oh, and okay,
but then if the meeting's too long,
gotcha.
then they will have an additional meeting in the first week of April.
Okay,
So they
so
have
end of
those,
March
they have
early.
those scheduled for themselves, whatever those Tuesdays were. But those are the two areas that they're looking at. And then it would go to the select board and then the warrant to print. But that's kind of those are our target dates, because then we would have a more concrete number to be looking at what our cuts will actually mean, right? A lot of people have reached out to me over the past couple weeks. So I just wanted to kind of take a minute to step back, because I feel like the tone of some of the friends and neighbors and residents that are chatting is just a little concerning to me. So the reality is that this is going to get hard. We're facing a very challenging 18 to 24 months, similar to what Leo was saying earlier. This is going to be a tough budget season. Next year is going to be a tough budget year. And then we have the school building vote. Money is something that people love to argue about. And these are big things that have potential to create a lot of divide. So I want to be clear that the people sitting at this table and the individuals serving on our other town boards and committees, we're all volunteers. This is the second night in a row that Leo and I aren't at home with our families because we have town obligations, and that's not like for us or woe is me. It's just that I think it would be helpful if people can assume good intent for our boards and committees and the volunteers, and that the conditions we're facing right now are really different than prior budget cycles. and that it doesn't really matter if you're 32 or 99, or you had kids in the school systems, or you don't right now, or you never had kids in the school systems. We all have a stake in the community, and I think finding common ground matters, especially when the issues in front of us affect Medfield as a whole. So before drawing conclusions or making assumptions, if you feel like you're missing information, just ask. I think it's very reasonable to want clarity, but it's also very possible that some of the details aren't available yet for very valid reasons. And as we look at this next 18 to 24 months, I think it would be really helpful if we're in a space that we can be grounded and respectful and solution-oriented. We don't have to agree on everything, but I think as a community and a town, we need to find a space to work together. So it's going to be my little soapbox moment based on all the people that have come and reached out to me. So do you guys have anything else you want to add about the budget? Okay, on to the next item. Mobile phone social media task force update. Will and Dr. Marston?
Yeah, we showed screenagers, which is so we have four, well, whatever. So the snow day, we were supposed to show screenagers. Snow day happened. On Monday night, we showed screenagers, and I think it was 73 people showed up. So that is a huge number for a Medfield Talks or for any event at night, especially on a cold winter night. So we took that as a very positive thing. The Wait Till 8th pledge, which is now as a Facebook group, is still growing. Today, more people join. What happens is when you join it, if your child is in that grade, every time someone joins, you get an email. And I got a 6th and 7th grader, and I got 2 emails today. So we met again as a task force, I think is what we call it, yesterday. And like Dr. Marsden said earlier, we will have another, I'm not sure if it's going to be screenagers, because it is a long watch to sit there for 50 minutes. So I think as a task force, we are going to, next meeting, do our best to figure out what people want, like where that conversation wants to go. So that's what we talked a lot about yesterday or the day before. So if you are someone who's interested in this, please reach out to me or anyone on the task force. But our goal is to have this conversation to see how we can help our kids around screens, social media, AI, all of these very, very challenging things. But I think overall, well, I'll say I'm super stoked on where we're at. To have 73 people show up just to be like, I'm struggling with this. What do you do? This is what I do is awesome. And everything Michelle just said in the interest of sticking together as a community with money, this affects our kids a lot too, right? The amount of times they spend on screen, I won't get too soapboxy here where I stand, but like social media, AI, all these things are dangerous to our kids. They're also great for our kids, right? So we're working through that. But the task force in our next meeting, we'll be just trying to figure out what people want. How can we get 73 people back? How can we get 73 people to bring a friend and continue this conversation to help our kids? So our next meeting will be in March. And like Dr. Marsden said, the next Medfield Talks, or the next like kind of open series, we're looking at April or May. We're trying to figure out dates. April vacation's obviously in there. But so all good things with that. If you are interested or concerned with this stuff, if it's challenging at home, please join the Facebook group, join Wait Till 8th. And I think it's awesome that we had 70 people to talk about something that's, I think, challenging in all of our households. So good momentum with that crew.
Awesome. Anything to add?
Very nice.
School building committee update. We had a meeting last night. We heard from Eversource. An Eversource representative gave some options as we started to think and talk about sustainability for the school project. It's still very early for all of these things, so it's kind of just a space for them to start introducing us to things we can start thinking about. We also talked a lot about the OPM selection interview process, which will be happening very soon and very quickly, and hopefully we'll have an OPM by early April. Is that what we're looking at?
Well, that's when the meeting with MSBA is.
Right.
Yes. Between now and then, we'll be engaging in a process to select an OPM. Thank you, Mr. LeFrancesca, for organizing that. So yeah, it should be exciting. And once they're on board, that's when things really start getting going. So.
Okay. Anything from a community engagement update?
I think it was great that Dr. Marsden sent out some of the available positions for some of the different community and parent groups, because we already got some emails of some
Oh, good.
parents,
Oh,
yeah,
that's awesome.
saying they saw that and they were reaching out, so that was good.
I met with MCP this morning, and I think we'll do the same thing once they're ready to get new members too, just to get the word out, so.
Helpful.
So well.
Hillary, do you have any updates?
No,
Okay.
I think everyone covered it. Yeah.
So the only other thing was potential to move our April 16th meeting to April 9th. Does that work for people? It's a Thursday to the earlier Thursday.
My birthday.
Oh. I feel like I remember this from last year. You're gonna have this every year.
That's okay.
What did you say, from the 16th to the 9th, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. Guess he cannot have to take me away from my birthday weekend.
All right, do we have any other items?
It's 3 days after Easter Monday.
Okay, so future agenda items, superintendent goals and school committee goals. Our next meeting will be on March 5th. Reminder that we have Marcus Vaughn and Josh Tarski will be in attendance to share some info from the state side. Senator Roush is in session that day, but if anything changes, she will also try to join us. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a lot.